Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? So I'm Tom McQuillan from Scientifica, and today I want to talk all about customizing your LabVIEW environment, so taking all of your frustrations away. For example, I'm a huge fan of Active Framework. I use it for all of my projects. However, I really hate having to swap between the block diagram and the Project Explorer every time I want to create an actor, put down a message, want to change something in the class private data. There's so much context switching. I can't see Greg here, but yesterday Greg was talking about Git submodules and how he created a tool for LabVIEW. So he didn't have this context switching when adding a Git submodule to his project. That's really what I want to talk about today. Now you notice I've put the Wi-Fi passwords up here. Could everyone just check your mobile phones, make sure you have phone signal. If you don't have phone signal, log on to the Wi-Fi. That'll become apparent a bit later. Okay, so I'm a full-time software developer at Scientifica. Even in my spare time, I use LabVIEW for recreational use. And you can check out my ramblings at YouTube, Tom's LabVIEW Adventure. There's lots of tutorials on object-oriented programming, Active Framework. There's some LabVIEW challenges up there. That's why I just rant about LabVIEW for a bit. So I'm going to talk about customizing this LabVIEW environment. But when we customize the LabVIEW environment, we're going to be doing a lot of scripting. We're going to be using VI Server. And so I was looking for an example of VI Server where we could use this. And quite a simple example was written by Jörg, looking at VI icon scripting. So imagine you had 100 broadcast messages and you wanted to add a little glyph to your send VIs to symbolize they were broadcast messages. You could do that manually by opening up Icon Editor, or you could script these and do all 100 modifications all at the same time. For those of you who don't know Jörg, this is a photo of him up there. And we're going to be coming back to that photo shortly. Okay, so I've put together a little agenda. And so I'm going to be talking about project providers for a little bit, so we can do fancy things like this. Going to do some scripting. So let's go back to that photo of Jörg, click OK. And now I'm scripting VIs and changing the icons, stitching them together, publishing them on the block diagram to make up his face. So
he's going to get a big head.
So you can see that these are all individual VIs. I can open up a VI icon editor. So now we have a close-up of him. I can fill in some of his teeth, click OK, and there you go. So, and I get annoyed having to go to GitHub all the time, so I created a quick drop shortcut for that. That'll take me to my GitHub page. Everything I'm showing you today, you can have. It has an open Apache license, unless stated otherwise. You'll get it there. But for now, let's go to File and return to the presentation. So that's now going to open up PowerPoint, hopefully. Oh, I don't know why I said hopefully. It's pre-recorded. It's good. Cool. So in that quick agenda, we looked at project providers, right-click menus, quick drop shortcuts, and LabVIEW menus. I'll say now, there are so many gotchas and tips and tricks and hints and things that will just crash your code. I don't really have time to go into all of those, but on my YouTube channel, I'll probably do a series on all of these, well, deep dive into these 4 techniques. Throughout that, we also have LabVIEW scripting. And LabVIEW scripting is just an extension of VI Server. So using property nodes, invoke nodes, etc. For now, though, let's have a look at the LabVIEW menus. So we saw a nice example of a custom LabVIEW menu yesterday when, Chris Sharp was looking at databases. We're adding a custom menu to LabVIEW. This is so easy to do. These menu items just refer directly to a VI that you find in program files. So, if you want to add something to file, drop it into program files under the name wizard. If the wizard doesn't exist, just create a new folder called wizard and place your VIs in there. Those VIs will then create menu items like this. And we've got project for tools and help for help. The code behind the scene of this VI isn't anything special. It's just a command call to open up PowerPoint. So there's nothing fancy, there's nothing difficult here. Just pop in a VI into program files. However, that VI will open up when you select it, but it will not run. So one of the hints and tricks here, make sure you have a run when opened enabled. So Control-I, open up VI properties, go to execution, select run when opened. Okay, a couple of tips and tricks I'll show you here. The first one is you can have submenus. Submenus are just nested folders in your program files directory. So I've created a custom menu item, a nested item here. And by default, those items will appear in alphanumeric order. So here I have items 1 to items 4. I didn't like that order, so I created a new text file with the same name as that nested folder, where I could reorder item 4 to 1 and 3, and I had separator bars there, which are simply hyphens. You can save that, restart LabVIEW, and you'll get this menu item there. Okay, now let's head over to a real-life example. And apologies, I'm going to nerd out about Actor Framework for a bit, because this is the tool which I use on a lot of my projects, almost on a daily basis, to create new user interface actors. So written by Alan C. Smith and Sam Taggart. If you go over to Tools, create new actor from template. So if we do that, go to Tools, create actor from template, we can give our actor a new name, bring up a wizard here, the name of the actor, let's say actor user interface or UI, and create actor. That's going to add a brand new actor to our project, and an actor is simply a library and a class. If we go inside actor core, you'll see a lot of the legwork has already been done for us, hence why it's a template. So you already have a user event there to stop our actor. Those of you who have no idea what this is on the board, that's fine. In QMH speech, we have an event handling loop at the bottom, we have a message handling loop at the top, which is our actor core. Even we have a queue reference here. And with that queue reference, we can be sending messages from our event handling loop, or event helper loop, up to our actor core, or message handling loop, such as a stop message here. So some of the pre-work I did to demonstrate this tool properly was to create a method that just generates a number between 0 and 10 in a sinusoidal fashion. I added an indicator to actor core, so this is what the user will actually see. I also put in a message pump, so this piece of code would execute every 50 milliseconds, but let's not go down that rabbit hole just now. So what remains to do is to essentially wire from this method to that indicator. The way we're going to do that is via a user event. So with this tool that Sam Taggart and Alan C. Smith created, let's show you how to do this. We can right-click, go down to Add Event Support, and it disappeared, but actually no, it reappears inside our event-based helper loop, which is pretty cool. But if you think about it, in order to have this configured, it means a couple of things had to take place. In order to use a user event, it first needs to be created. We then have to register it and configure it. Then we destroy that user event and clean up our references. In Actor, this is what it looks like. In our pre-launch init, this create user event function was scripted, placed down, wired up, a constant was made and renamed. In Actor Core, we see this happen before our eyes, where we configured this new event case. And then within a sub-VI in stop core, we destroy that user event as well. Which means the only thing left for me to do is to generate that user event. So we've created it, we've configured it, we've destroyed it. We now need to generate that user event. So if I open up my method, unbundle my class private data, go to the gauge user event, and then using QuickDrop to generate that user event, which means all we have to do now is launch our actor. And save that, go back to our project, go to our launch, and we can launch that a couple of times. And so very quickly, and with very little actual programming, I was able to get this working, just with right button mouse clicks. This tool is freely available. Head over to the Community Actor Framework page. There's documentation here. There's a link down at the bottom where you can download a VIP. It will install stuff to the appropriate locations, show it some love, give it some kudos. To find this page, all I did was actually Google Event UI Actor, and it's the first result. The really nice thing about this tool is it's expandable. So if you dig down into program files a bit more, so here we're in a project subfolder because it appears in the tools menu. I took their template, the UI template, copy and pasted it, made some modifications because I want to now add refnum support. So Alan and Sam did the hard work with user events. I just want to add refnums. So again, go to Tools, create Actor from template, give it a name, select UI templates with refnums, create Actor. And I also added in a nested folder there. The block diagram looks pretty much identical. The only thing I've added is this VI into the Actor private data. And that allows me to do things like open, close, resize the front panel. I can change the title bar, so if the user receives a notification, I can have that appear in the title bar, and loads of other crazy VI server stuff as well. I also want to be able to do all that VI server crazy stuff with controls and indicators. So if I head over to the front panel here and place down a control, I just chose a Boolean here, I'm going to right-click that control and add reference to class data. So this right-click menu will work really well with the template, but if you're not using the template, it will work in any class you have, not just actors. Add reference to class data. Boom. So I've created a reference. I've wired that reference to my bundle by name. In order to do that, it means I had to open up my class private data, create that a control, put it in there, and that saves me a lot of time. But more importantly, it saves me from this context switching. For example, normally I'm developing a method where I want to disable a Boolean, let's say. But in order to do that, I realized, I now need to go back to my project, open up the class private data, put in a ref num, and that all takes time. Then by the time I've done that, I've forgotten what I was wanting to do, and I lose my flow. So there's a couple of right-click menu items here as well. There's add to class data, add event support. This one I really like, which is opening a method. So if you right-click any message in AF, any send message in AF, it will open up the method. Because if you open up this VI, it's just going to enqueue an element. Okay, right. Rambling about Active Framework over. Let's bring it all back down to some more core LabVIEW. I am always putting down property nodes instead of invoke nodes and vice versa. So I created a right-click menu to convert the two. To do that, I had to root around program files to find out how it was done. And I found this. Under Resources, Plugins, Pop-up Menus, I found a VI here, aptly named Create Shortcut Menu Plugin from Template. If we select that, it brings us this menu item where you can add a name for your custom right-click menu. You can say whether you want it to work in edit time or runtime, and then you just run this VI. Once you run this VI, an LLB will be created, and it will be saved in the appropriate file locations for you, for it to actually work. Let's have a look at these items one by one. Got the control file up here. The control file says, okay, what items will be supported by this right-click menu? So if I right-click randomly on my block diagram, it should only appear for nodes. However, in true VI server fashion, this isn't a node ref that's difficult. This isn't a node ref num. This is an object function growable function node g ref num. And working out all of these VI server classes, that's the bit that takes the time. The actual scripting is the easy part. Working out your classes is difficult. Next, we have just the VI with the name of our LLB. This is going to determine what our right-click menu looks like. And the template that comes out of the box will work just fine, but I've customized it slightly because I want to say, if a property node is selected, ask to convert to invoke node, and if invoke node is selected, ask to convert to property node. The way I'm finding this out is simply getting a reference to what was selected, and all of the functions with the rather fetching blue color, they're LabVIEW scripting functions. So I'm using one of those functions, the class name. If it's property, I want to convert to invoke, and vice versa. I've also changed where this appears in my right-click menu. So I've just put it to before the visible items tag. Then lastly, I want to talk about what happens when you actually click that tag. Well, I'm going to get that reference, work out whether it was an invoke node or a property node. Here I'm using the class ID node. I could use the class name, but, bants. And then at the very end, I'm replacing the function. Again, this is just a scripting node. So all of that together will just work. It's already saved into correct file locations. You can start using it straight away. Well, after you've restarted LabVIEW. There's so much more documentation, so much more to go into. For all of that, please head over to LabVIEW Shortcut Menu Plugins page. And on that plugin page, you'll see cool things like this, where you can insert bundle by name. And this is something that I use with all of my development. There are loads of others, ones that I've put on this community page, loads that other people have as well. So yeah, if you're interested, please check that out. This, if you search the LabVIEW community for shortcut menu plugins.
There's a vanity link. I'll give you the vanity link.
Yeah, okay, Fab will share it. Quick side note, quick rant. Pre-2019, right-click menus, clean up wire, use default when unwired, replace with case selector, and I could really easily, just with muscle memory, do these things. Then 2019 came about, and I've created so many constants because I want to clean up a wire, so I just right-click without thinking, just muscle memory. And then a constant appears. The same with case selector. This is probably the most annoying one at the bottom. However, I have excellent news. You can revert that change by adding this token to your LabVIEW ini file.
Darren is going to cry.
Well, Darren's not here. Okay, right. The reason why Darren is going to cry is, and I did research and realized, most people create constants, controls, and indicators. However, for me, I have about 4 or 5 versions of LabVIEW on my PC, and it's all muscle memory, and I don't want to just rework that just for 19. So I've put this in my LabVIEW ini file.
Thank you for explaining why I haven't switched over to the hot tool.
But he
Welcome.
has, just with the multiple version, he has a plugin to change it on the previous versions.
Oh,
In
yeah.
the right-click menu.
In the right-click menu community, Darren put a plugin because he hated it so much when they changed it. Because by the way, this is this order was, I think, back in LabVIEW 6 or something like that,
Okay,
and then they
I'm not
changed
that
it.
old. Sorry.
So he created it. Yeah, I'm old. So he created the tool. So if you really
Okay.
want to be consistent, no. Okay, make it false.
Quick drop shortcuts. Who uses them? Hands up. With hands. Good. Quick drop shortcuts allow you to program like a pro. You can add things, remove things, change things, create wire constants, create terminals, move labels, change origins, resize windows, etc. Good fun. Who here is confident they know all of the quick drop shortcuts?
Not even Darren knows that.
Okay. Well, let's say all 9 quick drop shortcuts that come native with LabVIEW. Fabiola? Okay, a couple of us. Good, let's put that to the test. Because it is time for quick drop shortcut quiz. Right, so everyone, if you get your mobile phones out, head over to kahoot.it. Now, I've never really tried this before with an audience this big, so we'll see how this goes. And enter pin 349927. I'll see how well this works. Okay, so once you're... Yeah, sure. So that's kahoot.it.com and pin 349927. Okay, you can enter your name if you want. If you don't want your name on screen, pick your favorite animal, your favorite color, your favorite LabVIEW function, if you like. Okay, how's so?
That won't tell you who we are.
Okay, have people started to log in? Nice, 54 players. Here's a smiley face. All right, so the way it's going to work, you will see a description, and then 4 answers will appear. And I'm looking for the quick drop shortcuts. So assume control space has already been selected. You're looking for control in then the final letter. Okay, let's give this a go. Oh, it's tense. So, okay, question 1. We want to wire multiple objects together. So W, M, O, or T. Then on your phones, you should select them. 4, 3, 2, 1. Also, you get much more points the faster you select the function. So well done, maybe a third of you here. So 38 of you got W. Excellent. Who's good job, Tom? Andy Bear. Andreas Palstrom, is that you? Nice. Okay, I can guess who Danny is. Yeah. Cool, let's see. Okay, next question. We want to wire all terminals. So we're going to create constants or controls. Is it D, A, T, or W? How many? Oh, we have up to 50 answers. Good, 60. The answer is, of course, D. Despite there not being a D anywhere in wire all terminals. So, good job, 22 of you. Again, good job, Tom is still in the lead. VI server rename. This comes in really handy with scripting. X, S, R, or B. This is one of those corner cases where I use it all the time, but I feel like other people don't. Oh, pretty even. Or is this just equal distribution here? The answer is, of course, B. Again, there's not a B in VI server rename. Oh, excellent. She has a new album out today. It's good. Right, move labels. M, L, T, or O. Couple of seconds remaining. T. Good, a couple of more of us got that one. Nice, what happened to good job, Tom? Where's that gone?
He's not doing a good job anymore.
Oh. Right, insert function into wire. This can be a lightning speed round. C, A, I, or Q. Again, up to 60 answers so far. 64, 65, 1 second left. Nice. Good job, everyone. Well, good job, 55 of you. Taylor Swift coming back. Replace function. So here I've put down the incorrect function. F, R, P, or U. 1 second left. The answer is, of course, P. And yeah, I thought there would be a fairly equal distribution between R and P. Question 7, remove and rewire. P, G, R, or W?
This always assumes the target is selected, right?
Pardon?
This always assumes the target Y or sub VI is selected for the function, right?
So I'm not catching that.
This assumes that the target to be removed in this example is selected.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So we're assuming
Not shown as such. I mean, there is no.
it's implied. So we want to remove write text file.
So which one should be removed? In this case, it's not clear.
Question 8, reset to origin, brand new to 2019. D, N, O, or R? If you watch my video on what's new in LabVIEW 2019, you'll find out why this is super useful and important. Nice, a lot of us, I think, either knew or intuitively guessed. Wills, is that, who's that? Nope. Oh, sorry, Willis. Last question then, rearrange VI window. Again, new to LabVIEW 2019, Q, F, E, or U?
Come
Fabiola complaining.
Where is all this documented in LabVIEW? Is there
Here.
No, when you do control space, there's a tab
Yeah.
that says configure, and they are listed there.
Yeah.
The modifiers come, you go to control space, quick drop, and then there's a tab that says configure, and they're all listed there.
Or you can go to my LabVIEW YouTube channel, and I have them all listed there. So, Willis. Where is he? Let's applaud. No, doesn't want to show their face. Fair enough.
Maybe up in the streaming room.
Oh, up in streaming room. Well done, everyone. Good job, Taylor Swift. I didn't realise she was into that. Is it trying to cancel out Taylor Swift? No. There you go. All right, so there, I hope you'll find there are probably more quick drop shortcuts than you realised natively with LabVIEW, but of course we can create our own. And so I was at a talk by Fabiola a couple of years ago, I think at the CLA summit. There you go. I've VIalized you there. And she gave a talk on a throwaway comment saying, oh, all error wires should be on the back of the block diagram. And that sort of ingrained itself in my head.
So sorry.
And so, well, the annoying thing is all my block diagrams are now a Zen garden instead of code. But I thought this would be a nice straightforward example of how to write a quick drop shortcut. By the way, I was going to pick Fabiola as our giants are female. She's been a great help in getting me into scripting and all of this fun stuff. So could we have a round of applause for Fabiola? Please. So again, I was rummaging around program files, came across this. If you go to Resources, Dialog, Quick Drop, there's a Quick Drop plugin template. So we can open up this template, open up, and it looks like this. And your first thoughts are, my word, that's a lot of documentation. So just get rid of the documentation. And the focus basically is...
Is there a quick drop for that?
Huh? You can write one, yeah. Actually, I created a promo video for my LinkedIn about GDevCon. And there I did create a quick drop shortcut that would script 3 labels. So that's probably on my GitHub somewhere. Often when you use quick drop, you've got items selected. And those items will all appear in a selection list. Then in the for loop, you can do things with that selection list. Now, I've modified this template to be this, which will force all your error wires to the back of your block diagram. Or if you press Shift, it will bring all error wires to the front of your block diagram. But if you have items selected, it will just push the selected items to the back or to the front of your block diagram. Let's just zoom in a bit to the important things here. So first of all, let's have a look at the selection list. If items are selected, we don't execute any of this, and we either move selection to the front or back. If nothing is selected, so we have an empty array, we're going to use the traverse for gobjects scripting function. That's going to return a reference to all wires on the block diagram. From there, we're going to have a look at where these wires start and finish. We're going to see, okay, where do they start? Is it a source? And is that source an error cluster? If the source is an error cluster, we select it. If it isn't, we don't. So now we've built up this selection list. And then at the very end, we move selection to back or move selection to front, depending on whether Shift was enabled or disabled. Side note about documentation, this is where you can select the default quick drop shortcut. So once this is on your PCs, if you do Control space Control, whatever is in the square brackets here, Control E, that will be your default quick drop shortcut. Your users can change the quick drop shortcuts. As Fab said, if you press Control space, open up quick drop, go to Configure, go to the quick drop shortcuts tab, you'll see a list where you can then customize. Again, everything that I've spoken about today, apart from the tool from Alan and Sam, is available on my GitHub page. And you can download any of these tools. I've created VIPs for them, and they will just install into the correct file locations in program files. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about very, very briefly, because I could easily talk for a couple of days about project providers, is the project provider. There are two project providers which I use fairly often. They're two that I've created myself. The first is where you can right-click your class, your library, so your actor, individual VIs, folders of VIs, and enable or disable debugging. And that's quite helpful. By default, I like to have debugging just turned off for everything. This is just a nice way of enabling it if I run into issues. The next one here is my documentation tool, which I presented at the CLA Summit last year, or rather earlier this year. And there you can see we can do things like add custom icons to your tools menu. With a project provider, you can do really cool things like change these icons, so you can change how they appear. I had a thought last night about the tool that Greg created for his Git submodules. Wouldn't it be cool if in the project provider he created, all Git submodules maybe had a yellow border on their icons, so you could differentiate between reused libraries and libraries for this particular project. Just an idea. So this documentation tool, you can access it in several ways. You can click on the item, you can click on classes, libraries, single VIs, virtual folders, also auto-populated folders, invent documentation tool, and it will do a recursive search for everything that could have documentation. So VIs and controls. It shows you your icons. You could double-click your icon to bring up the icon editor, add your icon. That's quite neat. You could add a description. You could right-click an individual section and run VI Analyzer for that particular VI or all VIs. Even once you've done all of that, you could remove that particular VI from the list. So you could just work through methodically all your documentation for your API. If we run VI Analyzer, you'll get a progress bar and the typical VI Analyzer report there. The documentation tool, the debugging tool here. Again, you could right-click any supported items. With the project provider, you can do nice things like have checked items, which is a lot nicer than it's just saying enable or disable. You can just have a tick. It's a lot more intuitive. You can have disabled items. You can add splitter bars as well. You could also change it so if you just have a single item selected, you can customize your menu as well. And there's lots of methods that run behind the scenes for these project providers. I'm not going to go into them in any real detail here, only to say that here we have a VI to describe what that project provider will look like. For example, to add Tom's Tools documentation tool, that is the menu name. We have a menu tag, so that's how LabVIEW will interpret this menu tag. I've put that as documentation tool add single. And then with these Booleans, you could do things like make it a splitter bar, make the item enabled or disabled, make it checked or not. And then we have VIs like this that actually execute once that menu tag has been selected. So here, if I've got a documentation tool, I could launch that tool if it hasn't already been launched, or if it has been launched, I shall send it a message to say
Where does this code go? Where is it?
that whole other section will come on. So, yes. So all of those VIs, and I've grossly cut down on the work required for project providers. Like you need INI files, and they need to be signed, put into various project locations. But head over to LabVIEW Project Providers Community page, and there you're going to find help documents, so a developer's guide, a guide to the API to add various functions. For example, Greg had a function that whenever he opened up a new project, his project provider tool would execute, so he could add new Git submodules. You'll find some examples here. And also the examples which I've shown, you can download and explore the code yourself. Also, as Greg said, every presentation that mentions project providers has a warning. They are risky, unstable, unsupported, and a really bad idea to use in general. However, project providers are really powerful and can increase productivity. I really like using them. I've had a couple of crashy providers, but they're good fun to use. I haven't had too many issues. So they can increase productivity, so give them a go on someone else's PC to get started.
That's what VMs are for.
VM, that's what
No. To get started. And on that note, I think that's where I'd like to finish up. Everything I've spoken about on my GitHub page, Tom's LabVIEW extensions. Check on my YouTube channel. I'll do an in-depth series about project providers extending the LabVIEW IDE series on YouTube, Tom's LabVIEW Adventure. So I'd just like to thank everyone here and have a very happy and merry GDevCon. Cheers. I have 1 minute, 36 seconds. Alan.
So,
Thanks for the shout out on the tool that Sam and I wrote. Just thought it was worth clarifying that if you want to do a template actor, it doesn't have to be UI related. It can be literally anything you want.
Yeah.
The tool that'll copy a template for you is completely independent from the tool that does UI work.
Nice. Cool. Any other questions? No? Well, I believe it's now lunchtime. So, Darren, do you want to take over? Right. Cheers, everyone.